Greetings, adventurer, and welcome to the Elder Scrolls Library. My name is Aurelius, your lore master, and today we are reading and discussing Beggar Prince. The book Beggar Prince appears in 3 of the Elder Scrolls games: Oblivion, Skyrim, and Elder Scrolls Online. The book tells a story about a prince from Valenwood and the Daedric prince Namira. It serves as a cautionary tale as to why you should never make a deal with the Daedra. Let's get into Beggar Prince. We look down upon the beggars of the Empire. These lost souls are the poor and wretched of the land. Every city has its own beggars. Most are so poor they have only the clothes on their backs. They eat the scraps the rest of us throw out. We toss them a coin so that we don't have to think too long about their plight. Imagine my surprise when I heard the tale of the Beggar Prince. I could not imagine what a prince of beggars would be. Here is the tale I heard. It takes place in the First Age, when gods walked like men and Daedra stalking the wilderness with impunity. It is a time before they were all confined to oblivion. There once was a man named Weedle, or maybe it was a woman. The story goes to great length to avoid declaring Weedle's gender. Weedle was the 13th child of a king in Valenwood. As such, Weedle was in no position to take the throne or even inherit much property or wealth. Weedle had left the palace to find independent fortune and glory. After many days of endless forest roads and tiny villages, Weedle came upon 3 men surrounding a beggar. The beggar was swaddled in rags from head to toe. No portion of the vagabond's body was visible. The men were intent on slaying the beggar. With a cry of rage and indignation, Weedle charged the men with sword drawn. Being simple townsfolk and armed only with pitchforks and scythes, they immediately fled from the armored figure with the shining sword. "Many thanks for saving me," wheezed the beggar from beneath the heap of foul rags. Weedle could barely stand the stench. "What is your name, wretch?" Weedle asked. "I am Namira." Unlike the townsfolk, Weedle was well learned. That name meant nothing to them, but to Weedle, it was an opportunity. "You are the Daedric Lord," Weedle exclaimed. "Why did you allow these men to harass you? You could have slain them all with a whisper." "I am pleased you recognize me," Namira rasped. "I am frequently reviled by townsfolk. It pleases me to be recognized for my attribute, if not for my name." Weedle knew that Namira was the Daedric Lord of all things gross and repulsive. Diseases such as leprosy and gangrene were her domain. Where others might have seen danger, Weedle saw opportunity. "O great Namira, let me apprentice myself to you. I ask only that you grant me powers to make my fortune and forge a name for myself that will live through the ages. Nay, I will make my way alone in the world. I have no need for an apprentice." Namira shambled off down the road. Weedle would not be put off. With a bound, Weedle was at Namira's heel, pressing the case for an apprenticeship. For 33 days and nights, Weedle kept up the debate. Namira said nothing, but Weedle's voice was ceaseless. Finally, on the 33rd day, Weedle was too hoarse to talk. Namira looked back on the suddenly silent figure. Weedle knelt in the mud at her feet, open hands raised in supplication. "It would seem you have completed your apprenticeship to me after all," Namira declared. "I shall grant your request." Weedle was overjoyed. "I grant you the power of disease. You may choose to be afflicted with any disease you choose, changing them at will, so long as it has visible symptoms. However, you must always bear at least one. I grant you the power of pity. You may evoke pity in anyone that sees you. Finally, I grant you the power of disregard. You may cause others to disregard your presence." Weedle was aghast. These were not boons from which a fortune could be made. They were curses, each awful in its own right, but together they were unthinkable. How am I to make my fortune and forge a name for myself with these terrible gifts? As you begged at my feet for 33 days and 33 nights, so shall you now beg for your fortune in the cities of men. Your name will become legendary among the beggars of Tamriel. The story of Weedle, the prince of beggars, shall be handed down throughout the generations. It was as Namira predicted. Weedle was an irresistible beggar. None could see the wretch without desperately wanting to toss a coin at the huddled form. However, Weedle also discovered that the power of disregard gave great access to the secrets of the realms. People unknowingly said important things where Weedle could hear them. Weedle grew to know the comings and goings of every citizen in the city. To this day, it is said that if you really want to know something, go ask the beggars. They have eyes and ears throughout the cities. They know all the little secrets of the daily lives of its citizens. What can I say? Don't make a deal with the Daedra. Okay, there's more to talk about than just that. The book isn't written as history or even a second-hand account of what had happened, but rather as if it were legend. It's simply a story that's been passed down from generation to generation. Because of this, we don't really know if the story is true or not. It very easily could be a true tale of a Valenwood prince who fell prey to the schemes of the Daedra, or simply a fictional story that is told as a cautionary tale about what can happen if you deal with the Daedric princes. Both are valid, but personally it is not hard to believe that it actually happened. According to the book, the story takes place in the First Age. This is what we would call the Merithic era, some 10,000 years of mostly undocumented history. We have legends and certain events that were written about, but often there is little given in the way of a timeline or specific dates in which these events take place. Such is the case with Beggar Prince. All we get is that it happened sometime in the First Age before the Daedra had left to reside in the Plains of Oblivion. It mentions briefly what Namira is associated with, but if you need a refresher, here you go. To quote the Book of Daedra, Namira, whose sphere is the ancient darkness, known as the Spirit Daedra, ruler of sundry dark and shadowy spirits, associated with spiders, insects, slugs, and other repulsive creatures which inspire mortals with an instinctive revulsion. End quote. It's interesting that Namira ends up cursing Weedle with disease. Disease isn't something that first comes to mind when you think of Namira. The Daedric prince Periite is actually directly associated with disease and pestilence. Not that it's out of the ordinary for other Daedra to utilize such things, I just thought it was worth mentioning. The conclusion at the end of the book seems pretty accurate. If you want to know something, go ask the beggars. They have eyes and ears throughout the cities. Rings true enough when it comes to the games. The beggars always seem to know something about what's going on. A very simple question one might have after reading the book just one time. Why did Weedle insist on Namira helping him? Or her, we don't really know Weedle's gender. It seems odd. According to the story, Weedle was learned and knew who Namira was, at least in some fashion. Weedle states that Namira is a Daedric lord. Because of this, Weedle's insistence does seem a little odd. Pair that with the fact that Namira curses Weedle with disease, something she isn't really known for, and you can see why some people think it's just a made-up story. Made up or not, the point of the story comes across. Don't make a deal with Daedra. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what you think about this book in the comments below. And may the blessings of the 8 Divines be upon you.